Right, we are live. I have no idea if people are watching, as always, but we are live.
Yay.
Oh.
I'm watching, if that counts. I'm watching us.
I just pull it up on my phone, so I know.
Right.
Yay. Are you gonna...
Oh no, I've got... Okay, there we go. I actually had it playing in the background and I just had it in a loop. Right.
Awesome.
Shall I just put something in the Discord saying we are now live?
Yeah, I can. We are here for Faes and Gays Book Club. We are discussing The City We Became by NK Jemisin. Ow! I just hit myself with a book. That's nice.
I was just putting it in the Discord.
Oh my gosh. Library, let's go.
Yay!
Right.
Someone want to say what the book is about?
We can do.
Or should we
Do you
just,
want to jump
or should we
straight in
just
with the book?
assume that people know?
Assume that they know.
Yeah.
We can do a one-line synopsis in case anyone's here that's like just here for the non-spoiler part and not read it.
Who can even do a synopsis of this?
I would say
I can...
New Yorkers fight a white lady to save the city. Kind of.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, the city's dying and they become the city.
Yeah, they become avatars of the city and therefore have to protect it. But like, they're all from very different backgrounds, different situations. Some have been there forever, some are brand new. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think that is the conclusion from everyone. So I guess we just each quickly go through like non-spoiler what we thought of it as a whole. Did we enjoy it? Mm-hmm. So I may as well start. I quite enjoyed it. I struggled for the first maybe 150 pages because I did not understand a single thing that was going on and it frustrated me and I wanted to know what was going on. But like understandably you find out with the characters what's going on. But once it got going and explanations started coming through, I ended up really quite enjoying it. I gave it like a 4-star, though I'm going to leave that subject to change by the end of this discussion, depending on what things get pointed out that I hadn't noticed. So we'll see. Right.
Oh, I pressed something. Wait, Cecilia, go before me.
Okay. I was trying to think and decide on my rating, and I think I decided on a 3 out of 10 or a 1.5 star.
Ooh.
Wait. Oh, wait, you said 3 out of 10. What's the difference?
Yeah, so a 3 out of 10 for me is designated as I liked 1, maybe 2 things, usually just the writing style, and I hated everything else.
But wait, what?
I'm so ready
2 out of 10 mean? I'm really curious.
But then, and then I think the only other book I've rated this is The Night Circus because I cannot stand that book. But it's on the same level of I don't like it. As that.
But you don't like it or you hate it?
I don't hate it because it has good. I think the premise is good and I see where it should have gone, but the execution was not there. You know what I mean? Like it had potential. If it didn't have potential, it probably would have been a 1. Like it would have been a 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10. You know, but
what I find interesting though is the thing for me was the execution was hindered by the writing style, which you said you liked. Yeah, so that's just really interesting because that's the thing that really threw me was the writing style.
It's not cries in the corner.
Because he said he failed reading the book.
Oh, you know
they failed.
I almost failed reading this too, so that's fair.
Okay, so I really, really liked it. I think this is like a really type of book that is for me because even though I'm really confused, I tend to just ignore the confusion and just kind of move on. It's really like a strange mechanism. And like I also read her other books, so I expected the writing to be weird because in the 5th season, parts of the book, for example, is written in second person, and that is who writes in second person. No one does that, and it's done so well. So I expected something weird in this, so I guess I was kind of more prepared, maybe that way. And I also love New York, and I've never been there, but I did want to move and study there. That didn't happen because it's expensive, but I really wanted to. So like anything New York, I'm just like give me anything, even though, like, as I said, I've never been there, so it's probably not as I expect at all. And I just really liked the different characters, even though I did confuse them. I just liked how a lot of like tropes and typical things we see in books was kind of turned around. Like, for example, usually if we have a cast of characters and there's usually just like one person of color there, and then that person is also always like, let's say, the bad guy. But here it was like a big cast of characters, and like the one white character was kind of the bad guy in this case, kind of.
Yeah.
Is that a spoiler? And I liked how she took a lot of tropes, and she tends to do this and like just turn them around, and it made me like think that a lot of the things happening in the book was kind of a commentary, criticism / to like things society has to deal with, like homophobia and other racism and other shit. So I noticed those things and I like appreciated them. But yeah, I agree that parts were really confusing, which is why I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars, not 5 stars. But I think if some things had been more clearer, then it could have been like it was almost a 5-star read, but not completely. So we are very different. Like everyone is like, yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think the redeeming thing for me was very much the characters. I can't remember their names, but I've never had a book where I can remember character names more than 5 minutes after finishing it. But I genuinely loved all the characters. I found them really, really interesting as a group, their relationships, like between each other and as individuals. So that was very much the redeeming factor for me. If there hadn't been, to me, like such strong characters and such interesting characters, I think I would have struggled to get through the confusion. But because I liked the characters and wanted to know what was going to happen to them, I could push through not understanding anything. And I think that's especially because I love world building, and there was world building. You just got it spread out over like 400 pages. So by the time I actually had the answers I wanted, it took a lot of effort to get to that point, which I think was slightly frustrating.
Yeah. I felt almost exactly the opposite of what you just said.
Yeah.
For me, the characters that I enjoyed got very little, I guess, screen time, you would say. Like, I enjoyed Manny, but we didn't get nearly as enough Manny as we should have.
I agree with that completely.
Like, and you know, like there were some points where it was hinted at that he totally almost killed some people or probably killed some people at one point. And I was like, oh man,
yeah, we needed that backstory.
I needed that backstory. I was like, Manny, who did you choke out? I need to know. But we didn't get any of that. And I desperately wanted to know. But also it was like, I felt like, not that there wasn't any world building, but it felt like it was more like superheroes, or it was so world building that it would be more effective seeing rather than you describing it to me. Like, I feel like this would be really good in comic book format or movie format.
Yeah.
But the way that NK Jemisin was explaining it was just not it. Like, not that it was confusing, because some of my favorite books ever are really good, like really confusing books to the point where you finish it and you still don't know what happens. But like this was confusing to the point where I was mad.
Yeah.
Like, it angered me how no sense it made. And I'm just, I don't know.
No, I agree with that, especially towards the end when there was like almost the big fight scenes and all of that going on. I find this a bit with normal fight scenes, but this one especially, I gave up trying to picture what was actually happening and just kind of skimmed until I found out who won. Because I like you said, if it was in comic book format, it would have been brilliant because you can see it. But the descriptions of this weird entity that we don't know what it is and they don't know what it is, and it was just tentacles and goop, I don't really know. Yeah, it was really hard to picture what was actually happening, I found.
Yeah. I agree to that, because like in the first chapter, this is not a spoiler, this is like in the first chapter, like the city starts to be attacked and we have not Manny, what's it called? New York that didn't have a name. New York.
Yeah, he's just in New York.
Yeah, and he like starts defending the city, and then there's like a thing he fights, and I just didn't get that scene. There was something happening, and he fought, and then he like slept or whatever, came into a coma, and I was just like, what even happened in this scene? And then Manny arrives to the city, right, and he becomes Manhattan. Had to double check that. And then he goes into the taxi, right, and then he's gonna like fight again, and I just didn't get that fight scene either. I was just like, okay, and then I just moved on because I couldn't imagine what was happening at all. I just know he did something on the taxi, and the taxi driver was like, holy shit, what did you just do? Yeah.
Something someone said
yeah.
as well, which I completely agree with, is that they thought New York was going to be more important. Like from that prologue, you would think New York would actually be quite a relevant character, and then you literally don't see him till right at the end. You
I was
literally
so
see him in the epilogue. And like, I love. Oh, I forgot something else. I love Manny, and so I'm glad he was the center. But again, I love New York. I love Manny, and then like Cecilia said, you don't see them. They then get completely written out to the sidelines, which is really frustrating. Who
was the character that you thought was most in the focus?
Bronca.
Like,
I would say Bronca, maybe Staten Island.
Yeah, Staten Island got way more screen time than I cared about.
Too many chapters. I was like, I don't care. Like,
no, I really didn't care about her at all.
I thought she would. This is kind of, I guess, I don't know if it's spoiled, but I thought she had like a turning point, but that did not happen. And I was just like,
you don't deserve it.
But we can talk about that more later, of course. But yeah.
No, and it's just even like the side characters, like Manny's roommate, who, looking at the wiki thing, I think it's called Belle. He was great, and we see him for like 2 seconds at the beginning.
It was one scene.
He's handling things really funnily, and then he vanishes again. And I was like, "You were great." He was really interesting, and they just
he was hilarious. And I was just like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited that we have this nice side character." And we never saw him again.
Yeah,
like we literally never saw him again. He didn't even come back at the end.
Yeah, I just think it was like, I guess, focus on the wrong characters, or focus on the character, like I guess the least interesting characters.
Yeah, well, I think it was also just an uneven focus. Like, I don't mind what we saw of Bronca. I liked finding out about her, but it was a shame that you got that instead of the others, I feel like. If you'd got like almost one chapter per character and then like cycled through, that almost would have been okay, because it's an ensemble cast that didn't end up being like an ensemble cast.
Yeah. I think like we didn't get any of Padmini, sorry for butchering the name, like she was the math one, and she was there for like, she was not there at all, and I was so disappointed because I thought she was really interesting, and we just like, she was barely present in the book, and that was really disappointing too. And she was actually one of the Bronx. It's like fine with the roommate that wasn't present, but like with actually one of the city pieces. But yeah, we got a question. What are your fave and least fave scenes in the book?
Ooh.
This implies I can remember specific scenes.
I can tell you my least favorite easily.
If you say
a spoiler,
this is a spoiler. I said it before we went live. I'm just gonna say the epilogue. I can't stand the epilogue.
It's such a strong disagreement.
I love
the prologue and the epilogue. I love so there.
Much. This would probably get 2 stars. I'm not even. It would go up. It would go up 1 point in the 10-point system. It would go up half a star. I'm not even joking you.
No, the epilogue was just so good though. Like it really shows them once they've been through everything, like how they've connected as a group and how they're working out the group dynamic. Because that's the whole thing, is they're failing to work together, and that's why it's all going so wrong. And then when they finally figure out that group dynamic, they may actually have a chance. And like New York brings them all together, and then this is probably spoilers, but
it's not a spoiler. It's like expected, that kind of story.
Yeah, I guess to me it felt like it wasn't deserved. It felt like we needed more for that scene to actually make an impact, or for that scene to actually feel like it should have been there. But I feel like what we saw from the characters and their character dynamic, it was too soon. Like maybe that would, if that was the epilogue of book 2, would have been great, you know? But
I do agree with that. Like we've just seen the first hints of them getting on with each other, and then we skip to them being just like fine.
In the pool.
I'm if I'm being completely honest, I think one of the reasons I liked it so much is because Manny in New York had like this possible mini romance, and if there's any possible mini romance, I am instantly sold. Like I am that person. So I feel like that massively swayed my opinion of the epilogue, I will admit. But
that's fair.
Yeah, I do agree it was probably too quick. There wasn't enough development to get to that point.
Yeah.
But so we've spoken a bit about like the characters, but I would just wonder, like, to talk a bit about the world, because I really like the idea of like a city dying and then like it has to be saved. I really like that idea, but of course we have different opinions on like the execution. So but like, just I think it was a really original idea, and it was like a new trope of like the superhero saving. But apparently on the list, on the like the page, it says the different powers the different Bronxes had, the avatars as they're called.
Oh, I never figured that out.
And I never understood that until
I never figured out their powers
in this moment.
No,
so that's a very
like
it says like
yeah. Yeah.
So that was very interesting. It says like that, for example, Brooklyn, her power is rooted in music. I never got that, and that like
I vaguely remember it, but yeah.
And Staten Island could like become invisible, and I was just like, she could.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't care about any of their powers.
I barely thought
like, I didn't even get that they have powers in the comments. Yeah. Apparently.
Yeah, to be fair, I barely got that. Like,
it feels a little too Power Rangers to me.
Yeah, it was a weird one, that.
Like, oh my gosh, we don't like each other, but let's unite to save the city from the evil white woman. Like, I'm okay. Like, like I liked the concept of the dying city, but the execution, like, it just felt too superhero comic booky to me. That's why I thought if it was a comic book, I would enjoy it a lot more.
I love superhero comic booky.
I want to comment on the concept, but what I want to say is massively spoilery, so I don't know whether we're going to get into that or whether I should wait.
How long have we been in this? 16 minutes?
We've been 15 minutes.
I mean...
We can...
I think you say
full spoiler warning. So, be warned. So I think what got me is I love the concept of the city dying. What I didn't like is when it was suddenly revealed that it was dying because basically an alien alternative world had invaded. I was like, just let it die by itself. That was fine. Why?
Yeah, I
thought
like it died because I thought they died because people were shitty. Like that humanity doesn't take care of their planet because we are shitty. That's what I thought, and then like, nope, it's aliens, and I was like, oh,
yeah, that really annoyed me. That felt like a completely unnecessary twist.
It felt like
because it made sense before that.
Yeah,
it made less sense once they tried to explain the whole alien transport shit.
Also, like in the end, then we had like the white lady being defeated, but like then there's that one paragraph where like a little part of her survives, and I was just like, we don't need her. We could have something else, like in the next book, and that was kind of annoying. Like I didn't like that part because I hate it when like the villain survives, because then it feels like all the sacrifices the main character makes kind of doesn't mean anything, because then. They did all that.
It's a lazy setup for a book too, as well. It means you don't have a second concept, so you're going to do the same thing again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unless she surprises us, though. Yeah.
It feels very like, I'll get you again, you meddling kids. Like,
yeah.
Kind of thing where it's like, it's just like a sad way to if there happens to be a sequel, there's actually a reason now for a sequel.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that annoyed me is going into this, I didn't know it was going to be a trilogy, and then I found out when I was like partway through reading it. But reading to the end, I don't see any need for a follow-up.
Not at all.
Like, I guess you could just look at a different city in the same kind of idea, but I really couldn't work out why you need a third book. Like, it was an interesting concept study. It had its own plot. The plot wrapped up. They saved New York.
Yeah. So, I agree. Like, either way, like, from now, it seems like it's just going to go to like a point where they're going to defeat all the aliens. Like, that's where the story should go. But like, then it's like, I kind of like it when the first book wraps up the story and then the second book is something completely else, because then you don't know where it's going. But now we're just going to sit there waiting for them to defeat the aliens for like 2 more books. And I kind of like it when it surprises more. But of course, it can be executed in a way that would make it like, oh my God, but we won't know that now.
Yeah. And I think it is also like, I had a point and it's gone. Oh no, this is what happens when you stay awake all day.
Oh no,
my brain's given up. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I think it's because also it seemed like it was going to be this sci-fi, as in almost like, as we said, like the city destroying itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it now feels like the second book is going to be a completely different kind of book if it is alien focused. And it's like, you kind of. And I'm fine with genre bending, but that just seems like a strange divide, and like it wasn't what it was sold to be. But that may be on marketing more than on the book itself. But I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like the marketing to this is like, wow, this is a very New York centric book, like New York. And I feel like that's not going to be what the series is going to be. Or I feel like you can't do much more with that concept now because the way the book ended, to the point where if it goes more in the alien direction, I feel like why people wanted to read the first book is just not going to why people are going to want to or continue on.
Yeah, I feel like it needs to be set like... Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No, you're good. That was it.
No, I just said that it needs to be set in a different city, and then it's not New York focused anymore. Or because they can't save New York again. That's kind of annoying. Yeah.
But then now that we know what was destroying New York, if it's in a different city, is it going to be that interesting? Because it's going to be the same thing, unless there's like, because if New York, as we said, if it was destroying itself, then there could be a different motivation for a different city dying. But if it's basically aliens, any other city that's dying will also be aliens. And like, I know they were talking about other worlds and like it all getting worse and that kind of bigger picture stuff, but yeah, I don't know how it's going to be a second book. I really don't.
Like, I have belief in her as a writer because she writes really, really well. So I think that she would surprise us. I don't think she would go exactly where we think it would go. I don't think she would write a second book and be about exactly the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I doubt it. I don't think I have enough brain cells to like actually think where the story's going. But yeah. But now I want to know more about your notes, Cecilia. Like, if you have specific examples. I'm just like waiting.
What I don't like?
Yeah.
This book felt painstakingly slow. I don't know why. Like every time, every chapter, I was just like I just didn't want to be there anymore. I was like, I'm good, because at the same time I was reading this, I was also reading another urban fantasy, and I ended up comparing them, which was probably dumb on my part. I was reading Jade City at the same time.
Oh, that's meant to be amazing.
It is amazing.
Two very different books, but they're both urban fantasy. And the way that Jade City did it, I liked it so much better than the way they did it here. Because in Jade City, I'm reading it, but it didn't I recognize that they're driving cars and they like went on an airplane, but like it didn't click to me. But here, it just, again, I felt like I was getting slapped in the face with a pizza by a New York rat. I felt like it was just painstakingly like built like yelling at me like, this is the point, or like, this is the, like I felt like there's no nuance. While whereas I can, all the themes that I could point out were very obvious. At least it felt like to me. I mean, if you're not exposed to, I guess, gentrification or like white tears or anything like that, this book probably would be eye-opening to you. But to someone who sees that all the time and has experienced it, it just felt so obvious to the point where I was like, I get it.
I agree that it was obvious, but I also feel like lots of books just don't have it in there. So I just like that it was there, that it existed, because most books just don't have anything like it because they just pretend it's not a thing. But also super random. Sorry, but did we tweet that we are live?
I tweeted it.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, I didn't think you
tweeted the other tweet saying we're live now.
It's fine. It's fine. I just wondered. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that with you were saying about gentrification and white tears, I agree. It's nice having it in there, but it could have been much more in the background as an acknowledgement of it's a thing that needs acknowledging. But I do agree it was so front and center trying to make a point of itself that you lose the plot almost. And I get that's part of the plot, but yeah, I basically agree with what you're saying, Cecilia.
Oh my god, I just remember the dudes on the YouTube channel that tried to get their racist painting and stuff, and then they're and then they try to sue the they try to pay
another
the
world kind of thing.
Yeah, but they painted super they painted the super offensive paintings for the what's it called, the arts place, the Bronx Art Center. They painted super offensive art, and then they didn't want to picture them because they were super offensive, and then they were like, oh, but we will pay you a lot if you do it. So that was and then they posted YouTube videos where they what's it called, called out people for not hanging up their art. So they were basically, what's it called, white supremacists. And it was just I was like, why is this here?
Unnecessary plot point, to be fair. That threw itself in there randomly.
Yeah, it would just be random points like that where it's kind of you didn't really need this in the story. It was just kind of I want to make this point, so let me put this pointless F plot, not even a C plot, in there because I want to make a point.
There's a subtler way of including those messages without derailing the rest of your book.
I felt it could have been nice in there if the message of the book is that, again, that we as humans destroy New York by doing these things to each other. But since New York was not destroyed by us, that point kind of fell away. But I think having those things in the book, people being like racist and awful to each other as we are all the time. It was like, oh, this is why New York is dying, and then it wasn't. So then I was like, oh, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it takes responsibility off all the people that are being awful if you suddenly make all the bad people not humans. It's oh, there we go, justification for them being awful, then not human.
It turned into like a they're not like us, so they suck kind of thing, and you're like,
yeah,
that's not what we were going for. Like,
yeah, no, I do agree.
No, what else? What did you guys like?
I said I like the concept. And I did like the characters. Oh, we should talk about like the rap in the book, like what you thought about it. Like
I was slightly disappointed. But I guess that's coming from like reviews and what other people have said. I just got the impression there was more, like I saw in the comments earlier, someone said that people keep saying it has trans rep. It would have been nice if the trans character was there for more than like 2 scenes before getting written out. If people are going to keep going on about it having trans rep, like all rep is great. It's good, but it's it was just a shame. Like other than Bronca, I feel like Bronca's the one who, because she was focused on more, we got to see quite a lot of sort of rep from her.
True.
But it did feel like outside of that, it was referenced in passing, which is fine. It doesn't need to always be the central plot point. But from the impression I'd got before going into the book, I was hoping there would be more.
Same. Yeah. But as I said, in the 5th season, there's also loads of different rap, but it's never in the focus. It's always just like, oh, these characters are gay or they are in a poly relationship, and it's never like in focus. So it was like that in this one too. But like, I expected just a bit more, since it's like really talked about as a very queer book, but it wasn't just like it wasn't a lot of it, but it doesn't need to, of course, be mentioned every sentence or anything like that. But like we didn't kind of get anything. But there's like a hinted romance between New York and Manny.
But
then like that didn't
like
actually
a weird
happen.
Protective romance instead of just a romance. And like
exactly.
I mean, I still shipped it because I'll ship anything, but I'm that person. But yeah, it was. And again, because New York only comes back in like the last 50 pages, it's not exactly
New York was really there.
I was really disappointed again by that, because he was so interesting in like the first chapter, and then it was just like gone, and I was just like, wait, who is Manny? What is going on? But
that's the other thing as well, because we lost the focus on Manny. You have Bronca, who knows everything, the others who all remember themselves, and for no apparent reason that was ever explained, Manny's lost all his memories. Do we ever find out why that happened? Why he was the odd one out?
Maybe in the sequels.
I'm not going to read those.
I will read it. I will tell you.
We'll just tell you what happens to Manny.
Tells me that all of the problems I had with this book will be resolved in the sequel. I'm not going to read it. Pretty much. But exactly. It's saying like, so the trans character is not important.
No, he was there for 2 chapters.
You meet Val right at the beginning. He's in a few chapters. He's literally there to introduce Manny to the city, and then he gets sent away in like, I don't know, chapter 3 or 4, and you never see him again.
Oh, you have a lot to deal with right now. I'm going home.
I felt like at the end they would have at least, Manny would have gone back to his own apartment and seen Bella, and like maybe tried to explain what the hell had happened. I don't know. It just felt like they could have at least brought him back at the end.
Exactly.
An interesting note is that NK Jemisin actually wrote this as a short story first, because I read in August a short story collection by her called How Long Till Black History Month, and in that there was a story called The City We Became, and it is the first chapter of this book with New York, like nothing else is introduced. It's like exactly the same, by the way. Like I just read both, so like it's exactly the same except the ending, where it kind of hints to an ending, like. So I guess, I don't know if it spoils this because you might have changed it, but like it kind of hints to a different kind of ending, like in the end of everything, blah, 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 blah. But like it's exactly the same as this, and then she expanded it to a bigger story. So that's interesting how it started as a short story, but with only like the first chapter with New York, and starting to listening to the city. So that's interesting to think about, and how it developed into what it is now.
Now, question: do you think that it was better executed as the short story or as this book?
But since I read this first, so
okay, so you read that so I'm wondering, do you think that the short story alluded to other things that this book like didn't cover?
I think that the short story actually worked pretty well, because it was just like, oh, the city is dying, I'm part of the city now, and I defeated the evil or whatever, because he kind of does that. So that worked, because then you didn't have all the other things that we have issues with. But I prefer the book because in the end of the short story, I wanted more. So I feel like not everything was answered and stuff. But nothing was answered here either. So
yeah.
So like, it's not like
longer.
Yeah, it feels like you need this in between of a bit more than a short story, but it did almost feel like she was leaving so much unsaid in this to create space for a sequel. Whereas if you just explained a few more bits, this book probably would have been much more enjoyable, even if it meant there was like maybe less content for a sequel. At least the first book would have made sense on its own. Like, I do feel like that's what happens a lot with series is, yes, it is a series, but a first book shouldn't be a part one. It should be a first book. And if it doesn't make sense as its own book, yeah, and I feel like there was so much in this that just didn't make sense.
That happens all the time. Like, the first book is never in its own book. But I usually prefer it when the first book actually is like, oh, we understood it now. What is the second book about? I have no idea. And then the second book is actually brilliant. I can't speak, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, even I don't mind if the book is completely wrapped up and then they have an epilogue to leave it on a cliffhanger. That's fine, but just at least make your book make sense on its own.
Yeah. Like, theoretically, if the series got canceled after that first book, would that be okay? Would people still want to buy it and would still enjoy it? You know, kind of that thing? I feel like NK Jemisin should have pulled up Prior to the Orange Tea and just been like a big 900-page book as a standalone, because I feel like that could have been epic. It could have been epic.
Yeah.
A lot of authors also like make the first book stand alone, and then the second book is like kind of bridge book to the third book, because then you have the readers hooked in. So like the second book is like it's less of a story on its own, and then the third book like wraps it all up. But the first book sometimes is like more of a standalone.
Yeah, it feels like book one needs to both ask and answer questions, but then book two you can get away with just asking the questions and then answer all of it in book three. Yeah. But it's weird with this one because I say it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't. There's so much that's unexplained. But it also kind of felt wrapped up because the plot had come to an end. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but the plot had been wrapped up. So it's an in-between one. But
yeah, it got to the point where like there's still questions about the world, but I don't care to find those out because it felt so wrapped up and contained. And I'm like, I'm good. Put it on the shelf. Never have to think about it again.
Yeah. No, even though I gave it like 4 stars, like maybe 3.54, but somewhere there, I would not mind if the sequel never came out. I will probably pick it up, but I wouldn't mind. Like, I want more of the characters, and if she were to do a different city, I'd be more inclined to pick it up because I'd be intrigued to how it would be done differently. And like, I probably will pick it up, but I wouldn't be heartbroken if it never happened. Whereas like a lot of series after the first book, I'd be really upset if that series got cancelled.
Well, like Sao Paulo, he helped them, so maybe they have to help other cities, and maybe all of them go to different cities to help them.
That would be cool.
Something like that. But then we would have like a billion different point of views and places, and we would be all more confused.
I think that would be cool, but that leads to I guess the perspective of all these, two things: either all these questions being answered up and none of them being answered because we're in so many different cities, or each book feeling very formulaic.
Yeah.
Because they're in different cities, but they're saving the city, so it could really feel formulaic depending on how NK Jemisin would write those characters. So I think it would be interesting, but then I also could see how it could be detrimental or not good. But
I agree with that. Just
we also
question from
sorry, we forgot to post the giveaway. We should probably
I was going to say we should probably do it in a minute. But Faes just posted, why do I keep calling you Faye? Why is your name Faye?
Same. I do it all the time. I call you Faye.
But Trey's asked this. So did we enjoy Gideon more or this? I enjoyed this more. It was close, but I enjoyed this more. I'm assuming you two preferred Gideon.
Yeah, but like Gideon is one of my favorite books. So like I can't compare it. But like I still I enjoyed this a lot. Like it was almost 5 stars. I just seem really critical right now. I don't know why. It's
easy to criticize.
Yeah, I feel like I enjoy most books I've ever read more than I enjoy this one. There are a few books I've rated lower than this. And few I've rated the same. I actually also rated Red Wine Royal Blue 1.5 stars. So they're both about this.
Okay, so what we've discovered in this is that you hate the books I love.
Yes.
I kind of didn't like Red Royal Blue.
No, I have my own issues with that book, but that's something else.
That's another discussion for another day.
That's another. I can go on a whole rant.
I want to know.
I'll have to
write it to me in DM afterwards.
Yeah, I'll be like, my rant.
Okay. I will remind you.
But no, should we do the giveaway then? I think it is in the description of the video.
Is it?
I haven't looked.
Oh yeah, giveaway form. So the giveaway is in the description if anyone can see, and it's just a question, and then we will pick in the end.
I don't, however, know what I've done with it. Oh, there we go. Found it. I was like, I have the response form somewhere so I can see what people say. Yeah, so people can answer the giveaway. It's the same as it was last month. Anyone who gets the correct answer will be entered into a random draw, and someone will win a LGBT book of their choice, pretty much, which can be one of the picks for the next few months, or it can be whatever you want. And I'll be gifting it, so I'll organise it with whoever wins. But yeah.
Yay.
That's good.
I'm trying to think what else we need to say about this book.
Yeah, I feel like we said a lot of harsh shit. Oh yeah,
Can we just take a moment to just shit on Staten Island?
Is
why.
By the way, it says she's 30 on Wikipedia. I thought she was like a teen. I
swore she was 16.
I thought like 21. I thought old enough that she could have moved out of her parents, but hadn't quite.
I felt kind of bad for her because her dad was clearly abusive towards her, not letting her leave the house and like influencing her life really badly. So I think like part of her personality was so bad because of her upbringing, but like you can't blame it all on that because she was bad words.
Her personality was not.
Yes.
Yeah, no. And
what did I wrote a specific part about her and I can't remember where I put it.
I want to know.
Now I'm curious. I'm looking. Y'all keep talking.
We got a question. So we said, does anyone have city you'd be more interested in
just
than
to pull
New
that one
York?
up.
Ooh,
I would love to see a European city. So like it's like Central Europe though, so Rome or Prague or something like that. So like a much older city, because obviously New York,
that would be really cool.
It's like it's new, it's modern, it's skyscrapers, not everywhere but pretty much, but like much older cities. Obviously they've got modern areas, but I think that could be really interesting. So it could be a really different vibe, and the powers could also be very different.
Yeah. I like that they had Hong Kong there for a moment, but I'd like to like see another big city or like a small city in Asia, because I feel like we'd never get to see that at all, and I feel like NK Jemisin could have done that really well, so that would be cool. But I don't know where, like Japan maybe.
Japan would actually, I think Tokyo would be very interesting. I think Mexico City would be very interesting. The way that it would do, I feel like any large Latin American like city would be very interesting because it can tackle those areas of colonialization and a lot of the issues that they're still having today. I think that would be very interesting, especially if they went into like, depending on what areas they went into. I'm trying to remember, what is Brazil's capital? I know this. Whenever Brazil. I know this. It's
Me too. My brain's gone to absolute pop.
I was going to say Sao Paulo, but I don't think it's Sao Paulo.
It says that Brazil's capital is Brasilia.
Oh, yeah, it's Brasilia.
Yes. Okay, yeah. I think that would also be very interesting. Just what I know of Brazil. They could tackle so many issues, like so many things that this book tried to tackle, but I feel like it would be more impactful. I don't know. I feel like, but also because a lot of people who like, especially in America and like European countries, don't know a lot about that history. I think it's very interesting as like a wow, I didn't know kind of thing.
Yeah, one thing I would really love to see, just because it would be different in a very different way, would be either Scandinavian countries, so Finland, Norway, something like that, or even somewhere like Iceland, because their culture is so vastly different to a lot of like Central Europe and America and things. And I just feel like it could be really interesting because it's a very different vibe, and I'd just be really intrigued to see what she did with that.
I would just criticize everything because I'm from Scandinavia. I'm like, no.
You'd be like one star, like
then I'm out. Did you find a note about Staten Island?
Oh, I put no.
That sums it up. That literally sums it up, doesn't it?
I put no, she annoyed me. That's specifically what I I think that was the only person I put specifically, other than Manny killed people like that.
Yeah. But it's like we were saying before we started, like we all, well, at least I and I think Sandra assumed she was going to maybe have this turning point, and then just didn't.
Yeah. I also put that I liked Queens, but in the beginning, but I grew to not enjoy her character by the end.
Which one was Queens?
Queens she was an immigrant.
Yeah.
And I liked I liked how she was introduced, but I felt like by the end she just kind of became a little whiny, like a little.
Yeah.
And she annoyed me by the end. I don't know.
I remember how she was introduced. I do not remember her past that point.
Pretty much.
Oh, faded into Queens, but meaning like the mathematician. I can't. Yeah,
mathematician.
She became unforgettable, I would say.
Yeah, because she didn't get anything.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Trey I really liked Brooklyn. To be fair, I don't know why. I just thought she was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate her, but I didn't like her. She was like, like to me, I don't know. You know, I didn't have any strong feeling towards.
Wait, who did you like again? I'm so confused.
Manny.
Yeah,
Manny. And I liked the beginning of Queens. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I almost called Faye again. I was supposed to say Faye. Whatever. Trey asked us if we will read more NK Jemisin books. So I already read the 5th season, and I love it. It's one of my faves. And I read her 1,000 Kingdoms. What's it called? 1,000 Kingdoms something. Trilogy? Yeah. And I read the first one of that, and it was so good. And I'm so excited to read the rest of the series. And I read this, and I loved it. And I read the short story collection. So the answer is, in short, yes.
I own 5th season and very much want to read it. I'm more intrigued by the Inheritance one though, because if anyone ever mentions gods, I want to read it. And she also has another series which I think is a duology, which also looks really good.
Killing Moon or something.
Something like that. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be trying more NK Jemisin, and I'll see if I still struggle with the writing style or not.
Yeah, I still like her writing style, and I've since I've read her comic series, which is so good, so good.
Which comic series are you talking about? Now I'm like,
it's called Far Sector. It's currently airing. The first, I guess, collected volume hasn't come out yet, but I've been reading it at single issues, and I think because she takes on like a Green Lantern story in that comic series, and she tackles a lot of the stuff she tackles in here a lot better in the comic.
Oh, nice.
And she's like. Since it's a comic, I guess if you have issues with her writing style, since it's a comic, you don't get as much of that, but you still get her wonderful world building.
Now I want it. Why are you doing this to me?
It's so good. But I own the 5th season, and I plan on reading the rest of her books. Because I feel like this is just going to be an outlier, you know what I mean?
I feel like a lot of people have said it's a really good starting point for her books, but I do get the impression it's meant to be very different from other things she's done. So...
If you don't like this,
you'll like the others.
Like her other books, as long as you like her writing style. That's the vibe I get.
Like I read the start of, or like I finished one series and read the start of another book, and it definitely feels different. I feel like this feels like kind of in a different genre. I feel like those feel like, I know that this is an adult fantasy, but I just feel like I wouldn't call it YA, of course, but it feels not younger. That's a bad word for it, but like it feels like in a different kind of world, and the other ones are more sophisticated. I don't know the word for it.
I think that is kind of urban fantasy, because a lot of urban fantasies do end up feeling more simplistic like that, because the setting is our setting. What was I going to say? I think with her writing style, I keep saying I struggled with it. I wonder how much I was struggling with her writing style and how much I was struggling with not understanding the plot. I feel like the two compounded bothered me, but if I'd had more world building, more plot explanation, I may well have not struggled with the writing style in the same way. I feel like I might be kind of mixing those together because I was just overall a bit confused, and so like the two together threw me off.
Yeah, I feel like
so it wouldn't put me off other books.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like this book feels, I guess, more mainstream or had like a wider appeal than her other books do. I feel like is why a lot of people say that this would be a good one to start with, or I guess is more accessible because it's urban fantasy, but just it feels more like the way that it talks about everything, at least from the 20% I read at 5th season. I know that's not enough, but but from the comparison, it feels, I guess, more accessible to maybe someone who isn't a huge fantasy reader or someone who's getting into fantasy. Like NK Jemisin as a writer in general.
Because urban fantasy is usually easier because it's set in our world and then you know the stuff. But like 15 is like fifth season is like completely different. But yeah, but the writing there is very confusing too, especially since it starts in second person and you're like, what? And there's other point of views not in second person, and then you're like, but yeah, the story really like takes a turn. That's all I'm gonna say. Now I want to reread them.
Just a heads up to people, please enter the giveaway. We've only had one entry, so if you have read the book, you'll be able to answer this question. And if you can't remember like the name, like just write something. Like when we couldn't read, me and Sandra could not remember the name when writing this question, so we don't expect you to. Just write something that identifies what we're looking for.
Check Wikipedia for City We Became if you wanna check the name. If you like, just write like the person who did that or something like that.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Words. Do we want to very quickly, as we have 15 minutes, and I don't think we've done the big announcement yet, do we want to very, very quickly talk through what we're reading for the next few months?
Good.
For anyone who is here.
Oh, for like a club. I thought you meant for like our lives. And I was like, I have not planned what I'm reading for the next 3 months. What are you talking about?
That list will be like 300 books long and I'll read 2 of them. So that would be a pointless list.
Oh, and we didn't do our queer recommendation that we've read.
I was going to say that at the beginning. We just jumped straight in. I was like,
I'm sorry. I just like...
You needed to get some stuff off your chest.
I needed relief.
But wait. Before we do that, do you have more on your list you want to talk about? Since I don't know if we covered.
I have pretty much everything. The only thing I wrote, which is kind of mean, I said I think NK Jemisin should stay out of the real world when it comes to writing, because this is her first. Okay, because when I come over the general consensus of this book, I feel like all of her books, other books, get like universal praise, while this one has very mixed things, and it's her only urban fantasy. I mean, so when you compare it like that, maybe you should not write urban fantasy. But like, I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
It's just not her genre.
Maybe we will see in the sequels.
Maybe she was better at high fantasy than urban fantasy.
Yeah,
I don't. That was the only other thing that I put. That we didn't talk about. It was kind of mean, but that's
okay.
Okay, so for what month are we in? September. Because this is August book, isn't it? So for September,
we are reading.
Oh wait, I have it. I didn't grab it.
I have it here. Oh my god, we have the same copy.
Yeah, I think it's UK standard. I think
I'm buying that one once I reread this one. That was my
nice.
Rule.
But I ordered the US one, but it hasn't arrived and it's like gone forever, I think.
Yeah.
So but then I saw this in the store and I was like, okay, I'm grabbing it because I need it now. So
it's so pretty.
I like them both so much. So,
I like them. I want both so badly.
I'm buying that again if it doesn't show in like 2 months or something.
Yeah, I want it so bad.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be on. This is on your channel, Cecilia, isn't it? We do a discussion for this one. And then
it'll be great.
Yeah, and then so I would hazard a guess, not confirmed. It'll probably be on the 3rd of October because that'll be the first Saturday of October. So that's most likely, and that will be. And then for October, we are reading Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, which has just come out a few days ago, and I'm so excited. I'm actually so glad that Illumicrate have delayed their shipping, because if they shipped it now, I would read it now and nothing would stop me. Like, this is the only thing making me read it in October is that I won't have it before then.
There you go.
Like, I'm so excited for it, and that'll be on Sandra's channel.
Yay!
And then
I sounded very sarcastic. I meant like a proper yay.
I love it.
And then November is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart, and that will be background to Trey's channel, I think. And then Raven Tower in December, which will be on my channel. So lots of things to come. We've got 2 YAs in a row, which will be nice because we've just done 2 sort of more complex adult ones.
Yeah, we don't have brain cells enough anymore. We used them all.
No. Yeah, we've had 2 very confusing books. We all need a reprieve.
True. Oh, Tanya Ship, when you said you're a bit apprehensive, I will say about Cinderella's Dead, you will enjoy it more if you go into it not expecting complexity. Okay, that sounds wrong.
That's fair.
For me, I enjoy this because it's like such a fun romp, I guess I would say, is that when you look too deep into it, like the people who look too deep into it tend to not enjoy it. Well, if you go into it, like also it's more not exactly a retelling, it's more like a remix because it takes place after the Cinderella story and it turns those tropes on its head. So if you go into it like that, I think you'll enjoy it.
So you're saying it's more like a fun, chill YA, not like we're going to go deep into your soul and
like it's
confuse you.
Two completely different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This one's more complex. This is more like, I get not surface level, but this is just more, I guess, fun. So that's where I would.
Of course, YA tends to be a bit like lighter, not all, of course, but like a lot of them are like easy and stuff, and that's why a lot of people reading YA is like, oh my god, it's not complex. I hate it, because they usually read out of fantasy, but you need to go into it with a different mindset.
It's just a different mindset thing. And since we've been reading adult, just switch your mindset for a couple months, and then we'll come back.
Yeah, exactly. But so we've got 2 should be really good fun YA fantasies coming up. Which I'm so excited. I'm actually really excited for something a bit lighter because I've been really slumpy recently, and lots of confusing adult fantasy. I don't think it's helping that situation. So this, literally, it's taking all my self-restraint to not read this now because I'm in a slump. I think it would be perfect, but I won't remember it in like 4 weeks if I read it now. So I have to wait and read it in a couple of weeks.
I'm so excited to reread. I might annotate. I've never annotated before, and I'm scared. So this might be so like fun. It's going to pop my annotation cherry, and I'm so excited about it.
Yeah. It's great fun. Sticky tabs are the way to go.
I have some. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Should we talk about our the recent queer book recommendations?
Queer book we've read recently. Yeah. I'm going to go through. I just looked at my list yesterday. So
I just looked at my list for the books I read in August. I'm like, what did I read?
Yeah, that's actually what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to get... Ooh, okay, I actually have a few, and I'm going to talk about them each really quickly, but I'm going to go grab 2 of them. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay, I grabbed the entire series because I read the entire series last week.
Yeah, go.
Okay. So, I'm going to recommend it's manga, because of course it is. The Our Dreams at Dusk series by Yuki Kamatani. I read the first one one day, and then I read all 3 of these in one sitting because they were so good. It pretty much, I don't even remember his name. I suck. This is shoot. It's Tezuku. Okay, it's Tezuku, and he trigger warnings for suicide and homophobia, or thoughts of suicide. No, but pretty much Tezuku, he contemplates killing himself because one of his classmates finds out he's gay, and in Japan it's still very, very taboo. I don't think homosexuality is illegal, but I know there's no gay rights or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so he's really contemplating it, and he goes into this one walk-in drop-in area where people just go and hang out, and he finds his new family and friends there. There is gay rep, lesbian rep, ace rep, trans rep, so many different kinds of rep, and they're all just so good. I cried. And there's also death of a spouse. So keep that in mind. But
okay, I will buy it right now.
I cried. I was sobbing at like 3 a.m. It's such a good manga series.
I had it recommended, and I'm just like
highly recommend. If you haven't read manga, it's good, and it's only four volumes. So if you want to go into like a shorter series,
you want to drop the title in the chat so I can look that up after. I'm not going to complain because I'm awful at remembering titles more than 2 seconds. So I've got a few to go through because I've read a surprisingly little amount of LGBT books in August, and I don't know how well. Okay, I do know how because I only read like 9 books total, so there weren't many to choose from. But what did I? Yeah, the first one, The Once and Future Witches by Alex Harrow, which isn't actually out yet. It's coming out in October, and it is amazing. Just a book. I read an arc of it, and it is the most feminist thing ever, and it's brilliant, and it has female-female relationship in it. It's stunning. It follows these 3 sisters who are kind of reconnecting, having been separated for a long time, and they are descended from a line of witches, and it's women fighting for their rights and fighting to the right to have witchcraft, and just it's really good and beautifully written. So highly recommend that. And then this one, just because I finished it today, Star Daughter. This does not have central LGBT rep, but the side character, they don't disclose her sexuality, but there is a female-female relationship. It's not a big focus, but it was a nice touch, and I literally finished this today, so it's on my mind.
It's been like my most anticipated.
I'm really excited for that book.
It's good, actually. And then the other one, which I read, is Take a Hint, Danny Brown. This is actually an adult romance book, and it is male-female, but the main character is bi, and they go on about it lots, and you see her female ex lots. So I appreciate that in a romance book. It just made me happy.
I've seen it so many. I've seen it everywhere, and I'm just like, I need to get it.
Seriously, that series it's so good. I want the third one so bad.
I'm so excited to start reading it.
It's so good. It's so good.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, it's my turn, I guess. So like, I read 36 books in August, but not many of them were queer because I did a bad job. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be kicked. So I would just recommend a manga series as well. We have Given. So this is volume 3, and I haven't read it yet, but I read volume 1 and 2, and this is on my TBR for September. I just didn't bother getting the other ones. But yeah, so this follows these boys that I cannot remember the name of.
See, every time in manga series, I can't remember anybody's name.
Uenoyama and Mafuyu or something. I don't even know. Either way, so this is about one of these guys, and he wants to learn to play the guitar, and then he meets another dude. And he's like, please teach me the guitar. And he's like, no, I don't wanna. But then he does it anyway. And then he joins the band. And yeah, I watched some of the anime. And then it's really nice because then you can actually hear the music they are playing here. So like, I read the manga and then I watch the episodes that I read. And yeah, so they clearly get a thing together, and they also have like a thing with someone who died before they met. And yeah, it's sad that way, so I'm feeling I will cry more later on. And yeah, it's really, really cute, and I really, really like it. And yeah, this just came out like the 1st of September, so I ordered it. Yeah.
Or watch the anime as well. If you guys want
all of it?
Huh?
All of it, all of the anime.
I know. I need to watch it. I think I've only watched.
Oh, you haven't watched it.
I only watched the first episode, and I was like, "That's really good. I'm gonna put it on my list." And then my list is very long. But yeah, if you guys want a non-manga pick, I've only read like 1-2 books in August, and then I read a lot of manga. But I finished The Pride of the Orange Tree.
Yes, I'm rereading that this month, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to reread it.
It was so good. Like the romance.
I feel like we should do like a full live show just on Priory.
Yeah,
because
literally, I'm rereading it. If people want to just do another live show temporarily for Priory, I'm so down. So I'm rereading it this month, and I will happily discuss it forever because I love it so much.
The fact that I'm down to reread it again, even though I just finished, it took me like I was on page like 585 for like a month because I started in July. Took like a month break because I was in a slump, and I was like, let me finish it one night, and it was great.
Yeah, I read it, ages ago now, because it came out, February 2019, and I think I read it the November or December before that, because I had an arc of it, so it's been almost 2 years, and I'm just in dire need of rereading it. I'm so excited.
I have it on audio, so I can totally reread it.
I have it on audio.
How long is that? Oh my god.
25 hours, not that bad.
It's so long.
But yeah, if you want a not manga pick for me, I read Let's Talk About Love by Claire Can, which is like a YA really cute book, and it follows the main character that I cannot remember the name of, Maya, I think. And she's ace, and her girlfriend just broke up with her. She's ace and biromantic, and her girlfriend just broke up with her because she didn't like she was ace. She was ace phobic, and then she meets this dude who is like Japanese descent, and then she really starts liking him, but she's scared to open herself up again to him because she's scared he will reject her for being ace. And it's just about her trying to find out her future, like because she goes in college and trying to find out her major. And it was very cute, so I really like that one. For another recommendation. I need like a physical copy. I read it on Kindle, but I want to hold it. So,
Right, so we've got a couple minutes left. We've got 4 entries to the giveaway, so I may as well generate now and announce the winner. So
me. No, I didn't enter. I'm just.
I don't know if you can see that. What's it going to say? 2.
Who's 2?
Entry number 2, if my computer will work, is Frida, who I think is in the chat. I think I saw her earlier. I don't know. I have been keeping an eye out.
Oh my god, everyone just knows the main character's name and let's talk about love. I feel called out. What does people remember that? I'm just like, names, they disappear. Alice, apparently.
Love it.
But anyway, yes. So that's the winner. I'll DM them on Twitter because that's the contact they have given. And yes.
I want to know who it is. Who in the chat
I don't know if they're here. It says Frida.
Are they here?
Let me see. Frida, I'm gonna scroll.
I'm trying to work out if they were here. I've been
Frida, but it could have totally been like someone else.
Is it Let Me in Library, maybe?
No, it's not. She's entered separately.
Oh, is it Woodsoft the Books?
No, they've entered separately.
I want to know.
Oh, she's here!
It's her! She's there!
Hello! You
won!
You won! Get me on Twitter. We can sort out getting it to you.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Fab. So I think that's it. And we will see you next month for Cinderella is Dead and possibly an impromptu Priory, because I know Trey loves it as well. So.
Well, we must.
I feel like that might be a thing that needs to happen at some point. If people want to see that, let us know.
It wouldn't be like an official pick, probably.
Oh no,
like,
it'll just be we want an excuse to discuss it. So
yeah. Let other people watch with us.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I think that is it. So bye everyone. Thank you for coming and chatting with us. Bye.
Bye.